Nobody knows the trouble I see. Nobody knows my sorrow. Prison. What a terrible place. If you've ever been to jail, you know. This isn't somewhere you want to be. The U.S. locks up more prisoners than any other country. And every year, U.S. taxpayers spend $39 billion on their prison systems, which is like the GDP for the country of Latvia. If the U.S. prison system were a country, it would rank 97th in the world, which is just sad and troubling that we have to lock so many people up. Because laws vary by state, some states are more aggressive on locking people up, and some states have way more people who can't seem to figure out how to stay out of trouble. Today, we're going to look at the states with the most people behind bars per capita. We'll talk about why so many people are locked up, and then talk about how the American criminal justice system is trying to find a solution. So grab your jumpsuit and get ready to pump some iron as we visit the prison capitals of America. I hear the train a-comin', it's rolling around the bend, and I ain't seen the sunshine since I don't know when. I'm stuck in Folsom Prison, and time keeps dragging on. But that train keeps a-rollin' on down to San Antonio. We begin our journey through America's prison capitals in, unsurprisingly, the state of Florida, where we have some really crazy people doing some really nutty things. Like, imagine every weird crime you can think of, and there's a good chance it happened in Florida. At least 10 times. Currently, there's 176,000 people locked up in Florida's prison system, which is the second most in the country. But per capita, because Florida's so big, it ranks 10th overall, with 879 per 100,000 people behind bars. What is going on, Florida? That includes state prison, local jail, federal prison, youth offenders, and people who are confined because they are mentally ill. Additionally, the Sunshine State spends $2.7 billion in taxpayer money each year, housing, feeding, and guarding its own prison population. And most shockingly, 13,000 people here are behind bars for life. And that number is growing every week. Now that number may seem high, but here in Florida, that number is actually lower than it was in the 80s. We'll get into the entire U.S. prison population as a whole soon and look at reasons our incarcerated population is shrinking a little bit later. But as it stands, 1 in about every 150 Florida residents is behind bars. Right next door is the state of Georgia, which has 101,000 people behind bars right now. That's far less than Florida's prison population, but Georgia is a lot smaller too. Of Georgia's long-term offenders, about 9,000 of them are serving life sentences, probably for crimes they didn't commit, right? Now, Georgia's prison and jail populations have been ticking down as well. In fact, steadily over the last decade. Why would this be? Again, we'll address that soon. But like in many other states, Georgia's prison population skews very much Black or Hispanic. That follows the national trend, which shows that the Black population is incarcerated at a much higher rate than any other race. I guess Asians aren't in prison? I don't know, this chart might not be complete. But the gap between the Black population in jail and the white population in jail has shrunk over time. The Black population was incarcerated at a rate 8 times higher than white people. Now that number is 5 to 1. Anyways, Georgia has a lot of people behind bars. I have a feeling we're going to see a lot more southern states on this list. Our next best state for being in jail is Missouri, or Missouri, if you're from there. More than 32,000 people are locked up here in the show me how to remain behind bars for a long time state. The number one reason Missouri folks are locked up? Distribution, manufacturing, and using drugs. Now, when you look at just the prison population, not jails and correctional facilities, Missouri compares pretty favorably to nearby states. Missouri's prison population has gone down by 7% in the last 10 years. Nearby states like Kentucky and Arkansas have gone up by quite a bit. Now, across the nation, which states have the lowest incarceration rates? I'm sure you want to know. Maine, Massachusetts, Minnesota, Rhode Island, and Vermont have the most people who know how to act like normal human beings. What about countries? The country with the lowest number of people behind bars is San Marino, a teeny little country near Italy with about 33,000 people. And they have 2 people locked up? What did they do wrong? 2 people? Are they in the same cell or what? That's so weird. Other countries with teeny prison populations are places you may not have even heard of. Some are in Africa. Looks like India hardly has anybody locked up. They must be well behaved there. Of course, per capita, the U.S. crushes it. We're number one. We're just ahead of El Salvador and Turkmenistan when it comes to people locked up per capita. And that's actually down over time. Why? Well, two main factors. Violent crime numbers are down, which is great, and drug laws are now less strict, which means less people serve time here. One additional interesting stat, 90% of America's prison population is men. Hee-haw, we're in the state of Texas. Here, there are a whopping 223,000 residents in jail or in prison. What the? The Texas Department of Criminal Justice is one of the largest in the nation. If all the people locked up in Texas were in one city, that city would be the 20th largest in the whole state. Man. Of course, Texas is known for its strict law enforcement and its aggressive view on the death penalty. As such, nearly 10,000 people here are sentenced to life in prison.
I hope I can get out of the hole soon.
Nappy, you're in jail?
Yeah, weapons charges. I'm on the inside now. I need to find a way out of the slammer fast.
Okay, well, give me some time. Let me see if I can get you guys out of there. What is going on? That is hilarious. I've never been to jail before, and Mappy has. He has some major street cred right now. As we ponder that, let's take a look at the state of Arkansas, which is right next to Texas. Here, there's about 25,000 people locked up for one reason or another, and 48% of Arkansas residents are in prison for violent offenses. The number of people in prison here has gone up lately, but the number of people in jail has gone down over time. That's good, I guess.
Nick, Mappy just texted me. He's in prison. I need to get him out of there.
How did Mappy... He has a phone in prison? They let you do that?
What do we do?
Well, Karen, we need to come up with a plan. I say bake him a cake and put a shovel in it.
Great idea.
I don't think that's going to work, but she can try. Okay, so now here in Arizona, there are a lot of people in the clink. 41,000 people are locked up here. And as a result, the state spends about $1.1 billion of taxpayer money every year to feed, guard, and house its own prisoners. And Arizona's prison population has gone up by more than 20% in the last 20 years, too. Of course, Arizona claims that much of its crime is because it's near the Mexico border. That may be partially true, but ACLU folks have blamed the state's penal system for trying to solve societal problems like drug use and mental illness and poverty. After all, Arizona has harsh sentencing laws, and 1 in 3 prison admissions here were due to drug offenses. So, Arizona's harsh drug laws are being challenged. Now, while you're in jail, if you ever are, there's a lot of things you can do to pass the time. Here's kind of a somewhat informative list, which has a few. Stuff like read books, run, work on a hobby. You can do that in prison. Writing, pretending to be someone else. Huh. Hey, maybe Mappy can use that to get out of jail. Hey, Mappy, pretend like you're Dr. Phil. Quick.
Why?
Just do it. Okay, hopefully that works. But for now, we're going to stop off in the state of Mississippi. Here, about 30,000 citizens are sitting in a cell right about now. The prison population in Mississippi had gone down a little bit ago, but now it's starting to tick back up again. Of course, this is the poorest state in the nation. Do poor people commit more crimes? Yes. People born in the bottom 10% of earners are 20 times more likely to end up in prison than people born in the top 10% of all household incomes. Of course, there's certainly wealthy people who wind up in prison. O.J. Simpson, Bill Cosby, Martha Stewart, Robert Downey Jr., Mark Wahlberg, Wesley Snipes, and Tim Allen are just a few of note. Mississippi's neighbors to the right are in jail at quite a high rate. Here in Alabama, there are somewhere near 45,000 people locked up and an additional 56,000 people on probation. What's going on in Alabama? Considering that right now there are 2.2 million people locked up across America, I guess Alabama's incarcerated population is just a small amount. This number takes into account state prisons, local jails, federal prisons, and other detention center type places. And as you can see here, all the different reasons people are locked up. Our criminal justice system is at capacity, folks. So how do we solve this? Well, there's all kinds of solutions. Stuff like relaxing drug crimes, allowing judges greater discretion in sentencing, allowing people out earlier for good behavior. Those are all things that we've done or have talked about doing anyway. There are 42,000 people in the Oklahoma criminal justice system as of this writing, and based on the Sooner State's lowish population, that number is good enough to make this state our prison capital runner-up. This ranking is very alarming to Oklahoma higher-ups, which have looked at relaxing drug laws as well as reducing charges from felonies to misdemeanors upon sentencing. Ending minimum mandatory sentences has also been a strategy. Basically, Oklahoma wants to not have a lot of people in prison. And to do so, they're kind of letting people get away with crimes.
Hey, look, it's Dr. Phil. How did he end up in here? Out with the trash!
Mappy, it worked! You're out of jail!
That was a great idea, Nick. Thanks.
No problem, Mappy. But what about Nappy?
He'll be okay. I think he deserves to be in there based on what he told me.
Okay, well, you better run along, Mappy, before they find you. Alright, well, I'm glad he's out of trouble. Hopefully he learned his lesson. Stay out of jail, Mappy, and stay out of jail, everyone else. Okay, so who's our prison capital of the U.S.? Louisiana is. There are about 50,000 Louisianans in various cells, and of those 50,000 people, about 5,000 of them are serving life sentences. But Louisiana is sure trying to get out of this top spot. Its prison population has gone down by about 15% over the last 8 years, while Oklahoma's prison population has gone up by about 10% in the same time frame. So it's like the two states are trying to let the most people off the hook, so nobody has the most people in prison. I bet if we did this video again soon, Oklahoma might be in the top spot. Okay, so that's it. The prison capitals of America. The places with the harshest laws and where people just can't seem to figure out how to stay out of trouble. Be glad that you're not in jail. That either means that you're a real rule follower or you just haven't been caught yet. And if you're watching this and you're in jail, then how the heck does that happen? You should be reading a book. Do they let people in prison have YouTube? The warden threw a party in the county jail. The prison band was there and they began to wail. The band was jumping and the joint began to swing. You should have heard those knocked out jailbirds sing, "Let's rock. Everybody, let's rock." Everybody in the wholesale block was dancing to the jailhouse rock. Okay, that was the worst singing I've ever done. And I'm gonna just stop this video right now. Hey guys, if you learned something new or you just like this video, make sure to like it. And if you really like this video, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you get all of our videos about what it's like to live in different places in America.